Dear students, let us begin the second part of the lesson, in which you will learn about the conditions for applicability of the t distribution. Suppose we have a random sample of size n drawn from a normal population with a mean and a standard deviation. Let x bar denote the sample mean and s be the sample standard deviation. Then the quantity has a t distribution with n minus 1 degrees of freedom. The t distribution can be efficiently utilized to perform one sample test on the mean when the population variance is not known, provided that the population is normal or the sample is sufficiently large by the concept of central limit theorem. The following are the indications of symmetry. The box plot is relatively symmetrical, that is, the median is in the center of the box and the whiskers extend equally in each direction. The histogram looks symmetrical, the mean is approximately equal to the median and the coefficient of skewness is relatively small. Different versions of a t test. In one sample t test, we have only one group, we want to test it against a hypothetical mean. The independent samples t test has two means and two groups, there is no relation between groups, example people randomly assigned to a single group. Dependent samples t test has two means, either the same people in both groups or people are related, for example husband and wife, left handed and right handed, hospital patient and visitor. Main usage of t test. Among the most frequently used t tests are listed below. A one sample location test which assesses whether the mean of a population has a value specified in a null hypothesis. A two sample location test of the null hypothesis that the means of two populations are equal. All such tests are usually called student's test, though strictly speaking that name should only be used if the variance of the two populations is also assumed to be equal. The type of the test used when this assumption is dropped is sometimes called a well test. These tests are often referred to as unpaired or independent samples t test, as they are typically applied when the statistical units underlying the two samples being compared are non-overlapping. A test of the null hypothesis, that the difference between the two responses measured on the same statistical unit has a mean value of 0. For example, suppose we measure the size of a cancer patient's tumor before and after a treatment. If the treatment is effective, we expect the tumor size of the other patients to become smaller following the treatments. This is often referred to as the paired or repeated measures t test. A test of whether the slope of a regression lines differs significantly from 0. Case studies. One sample t test. We can see some examples for one sample t test. It is used in measuring whether a sample value significantly differs from a hypothesized value. For example, a research scholar might hypothesize that on average it takes 3 minutes for people to drink a standard cup of coffee. He conducts an experiment and measures how long it takes his subjects to drink a standard cup of coffee. The one sample t test measures whether the mean amount of time it took the experimental group to complete the task varies significantly from the hypothesized 3 minutes value. It is also used in comparing the means of two variables for a single group. This test computes the difference between values of two variables for each case and tests whether the average differs from 0. For example, in a study on the impact of a particular diet on weight, all patients are measured at the beginning of the study, prescribed a fixed diet and measured again. Thus, each subject has two measures, often called before and after measures. Independent samples t test. The independent samples t test procedure compares means for two groups of cases. Patients with high blood pressure are randomly assigned to a placebo group and a treatment group. The placebo subjects receive an inactive pill and the treatment subjects receives a new drug that is expected to lower blood pressure. The two sample t-test is used to compare the average blood pressure for the placebo group and the treatment group. In this figure, paired samples t-test is used to investigate whether there is a difference within a group between 2 points at a time, and independent samples t-test is used to investigate whether there is a difference between two groups, and also one sample t-test is used to investigate whether there is a difference between a group and a standard value or whether a subgroup belongs to a population. Dear students, I hope you understood all the concepts what I taught. We will continue in the next video. Thank you.